City Council regular session. It's 6 o'clock in Oak Ridge City Hall. First order of business is pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
James, if you could.
Sure. Right. Mayor Cutchin.
Here.
Councilor Hooker.
Here.
Councilor Tarman.
Here.
Councilor Kenyon.
Here.
Councilor Hollow.
Here.
And online, Councilor Coker.
Here.
Councilor Bjornson.
Excused. Great. Number 4, which is additions, corrections, adjustments to the agenda. Any councilors have addition, correction, or adjustment? For all?
9.8 fire department LED report.
Okay.
Proposal, maybe for discussion. And council bills. And that's it.
The other councilors? You by chance, because of the beforehand.
No,
All right, moving on to public comment. We have one adjustment to the agenda before we go. That's due to the individual being unavailable, 15.3 Marietta Thompson Public Safety Committee application will be postponed until the next meeting. Now we're on to public comment. Is there anyone on the Zoom platform that has a public comment? Please call out or raise your hand. Nothing heard. Anyone in the room have a public comment? Quiet. Thank you. Mayor comments, announcements, proclamations. I do have a couple. So first, I'd like to ask the Red Cross folks here if they could stand up and introduce themselves first.
Hi, I'm Tom Ryder. I'm a government liaison for Lane County, the Red Cross. Steve Carter, I work with disaster action team for Red Cross.
And I'm Ruth Seeger. I'm on the disaster action team for Red Cross for Lane County. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, what was it? Oak Ridge, and I've got a proclamation that whoever wants to receive it can come up front here. When you're done.
Maybe we can get somebody to take it.
I'll take your number.
There we go.
That way. Who's shut it off?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Sorry to waste your all's time. There you go. Big white button there.
It's on the screen, Gary, it's on the screen. The button on the screen.
Oh. All right, this is American Red Cross Month 2023, a proclamation. In times of crisis, people in Oak Ridge come together to care for one another. This humanitarian spirit is part of the foundation of our community and exemplified by the American Red Cross Cascades region volunteers and donors. In 1881, Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross, turning her steadfast dedication for helping others into a bold mission of preventing and alleviating people's suffering. Today, more than 140 years later, we honor the kindness and generosity of American Red Cross volunteers here in Oak Ridge to continue to carry out Clara's life-saving legacy. To join the millions of people across the United States who volunteer, give blood, donate financially, or learn vital life-preserving skills through the Red Cross. In the Cascades region, serving Oregon and Southwest Washington, the contributions of more than 2,500 local Red Cross volunteers give hope to the most vulnerable in their darkest hours. The Red Cross does so by providing more than 600 emergency overnight shelter stays, along with food and comfort for families devastated by nearly 800 local disasters like home fires. Through the generosity of those donating more than the 182,000 units of essential blood for accident and burn victims, heart surgery and organ transplant patients, and for those receiving treatment for leukemia, cancer, or sickle cell disease. Or by supporting service members and veterans an average of 9 times a day, along with their families and caregivers, through the unique challenges of military life. And by helping to save the lives of others with first aid, CPR, and other skills, or delivering international humanitarian aid. Their work to prevent and alleviate human suffering is vital to strengthening our community's resilience. We dedicate this month of March to all those who continue to advance the noble legacy of American Red Cross Claire Barton, who lived by her words, "We must never think of anything except the need and how to meet it." We ask others to join in this commitment to give back in our community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Brian Cutchin of Oak Ridge, by virtue of the authority vested in me and by the laws of the city of Oak Ridge, Lane County, and state of Oregon, do hereby proclaim March 2023 as the Red Cross Month. I encourage all citizens of Oak Ridge to reach out and support humanitarian witness mission. In witness thereof, whereof I hereunto set my hand the second day of March in the year of our Lord 2023 in Oak Ridge, Lane County, Oregon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm a military member. I benefited from the Red Cross. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Well, it's a privilege to help the people of Oak Ridge.
Wonderful. One more. If, Mayor Kathy Holston. Former Mayor Kathy Holston. So this is a plaque presented from El Rapa to Oak Ridge Mayor Kathy Holston by the Lane Regional Air Protection Agency. Recognition and appreciation of your leadership and service in promoting the role of local government in Lane County Air Quality Program, October 2018 through January 22, and Vice Chair, April 2020 through January 22. Like that. Our company says, on behalf of the board and the staff of the Lane County Regional Air Protection Agency, I'd like to express our gratitude to Kathy Holston for her service to the agency and dedication to clean air. Kathy Holston has served from October 2018 to January 2022, Vice Chair, April 2020 to January 2022, on the El Rapa Board, effectively representing the interests of the Oak Ridge on the El Rapa Board of Directors. Kathy Holston has been a vigorous advocate for clean air and ecological responsibility and provided strong voice of support for the agency's efforts in Lane County. We wish her well and encourage her to continue to share with the agency her concerns and suggestions about El Rapa's air pollution control efforts in Lane County. Signed, Brian Cutchin, Chair, El Rapa Board of Directors.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last mayor comment announcement is I'd like to refresh myself and maybe the council on, I was reading Council Rules of Procedure. I'd like to just kind of quote one of the articles, Chapter 5, Section 2, concerning debate among the council during session. It says, debate, the following rules shall govern the debate of any item being discussed by the council. A, every member desiring to speak shall address the presiding officer and upon recognition by the presiding officer shall confine him or herself to the question under debate, at all times acting and speaking in a respectful manner. B, a member once recognized shall not be interrupted in speaking unless it's to be called to order, whereas herein otherwise provided. A member of council moving the adoption of any ordinance or resolution shall have the privilege of closing the debate. So just helps me remind how the debate should flow. And it's not meant to stunt any debate from any councilor. Primarily, it's to allow every councilor to have a chance to speak before another councilor gets to speak twice. So we want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to encourage councilors to speak out on points that are appropriate to the agenda and focused on the agenda items at hand. So anyway, that's all I have for mayor remarks. Council comments, announcements. Councilor Kenny?
Excuse me, I do have a few. First, I was wondering if we were able to get the Oregon Department of Energy Renewable Energy Grant submitted on time and the letter of support for our US senators. I wondered if that was completed and everything.
The ODO grant was submitted, yes. Not sure about what you mean about the letter of support from the senators.
We had a special meeting yesterday.
That is, it's been sent.
Yeah, it was successfully sent off today on time.
Alpine Trails, yeah.
Good. I also remember in our, I believe it was our February 16th meeting, that it came up that Mayor, you mentioned that citizens were not allowed to speak during council discussion.
Right.
And so I tried to find that because you mentioned it was in the council rules and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I wondered if you could either provide us with that or I would wondered if you could provide us with that rule. And also I wanted to point out that other people are often called on during discussions. Even in that same meeting, people were called on from our audience. And it seems unfair to me that one person would be allowed to speak and not another. So I just wanted to at some point address that.
Anything else?
No, that was all I had.
Councilor Howell?
Yeah. I did want to let council know that I met with Eugene Cathcart and he's got some cool projects coming up that he's involved with and he wanted the council to know about. One of them was, I forgot the acronyms now, but they're goats and the bicycle group that Michelle Amons has headed. Those two have kind of joined. Kathy, do you know the name I'm thinking of? The ACCA, think that one. So he wanted the council to be aware of that. They're kind of working together on the trails and that, there might be some future movement on grant funding if you have a paid person doing some of that work, but it's kind of a joint effort and that in the future there's going to be some information come forward. And also another project that he, his wife, I believe Rick and a couple others are working on is the Trails to Track. Is that right, James? Rails to Trails, thank you. So that project combining some of the park work in with the trestle at the end of Hills Creek. And in the future, there might be some work to be done getting someone to do a feasibility for an engineer on the trestle itself so that it can be a pedestrian. And that's all time for discussion.
Councilor Farmer? Councilor Hooker?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
All right, moving on, consent agenda. Can I hear a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by Councilor Hooker. James, can you call for a vote, please?
Jordan, just to make clear, I'll make sure the councils were aware that there were edit made, so that email, okay, just my wish. Yes, all right, Mayor Cutchin,
Yes.
Councilor Tarman. Aye. Councilor Kenyon,
Aye.
Councilor Hooker,
Aye.
Councilor Howlett,
Hi.
Councilor Coker.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to 9, which is the from City Council 9.1, the fiscal year 2021 audit plan of action letter to the Secretary of State. Councilor Kenyon or CA, do you want to introduce this?
Sure, I can start and Councilor Kenyon add. So as folks will recall, our audit for fiscal year 2021 came back. It had 2 deficiencies noted on them. Both deficiencies were in regards to not having or not following our procedure to have a second person double check finance director's work. That's a 1,000-foot view. These were not serious deficiencies, but they were still deficiencies. When you have deficiencies, you are required to send a letter to the Oregon Secretary of State telling them how you are going to address the deficiencies moving forward. So a letter has been prepared, and I will throw myself under the bus to note that this was supposed to be in 30 days after we received the audit. Actually, it was after the audit was filed, and we're not sure exactly when the audit was filed. We think sometime in December. So we're a little late on that. That is my fault. But we have not received anything from the Secretary of State saying trouble for that. Just letting folks know that that was my fault.
Okay, I hear a motion.
For you to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2021 audit report plan of action letter to be signed by the mayor and then filed with the Oregon Secretary of State.
I'll second that.
A motion made by Councilor Howlett, seconded by Councilor Kenyon. Discussion. Councilor Kenyon.
I wanted to ask James, I remember one of our discussion items was that this needed to have approved copy of the minutes submitted with it. So would it be appropriate for us to hold a special meeting, or do we want to wait 2 weeks to submit the letter?
Well, we have options on that. Yes, we could call a special meeting. That I anticipate the minutes will be done on Monday. We could call a special meeting that night to approve minutes. That would be acceptable to council. I'm okay with that. It would be at 5 p.m. if that works.
Works for me.
Today.
6.
Councilor, any comments on that? Any comments? Mr. Coker, any comments on this?
No, I don't.
Thanks. All right, James, can you call for a vote, please? Let me repeat the motion real quick here. The motion is to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2021 audit report plan of action letter to be signed by the mayor and then filed with the Oregon Secretary.
All right, Mayor Hutchins.
Aye.
Councilor Coker.
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon.
Aye.
Councilor Hooker.
Aye.
Councilor Howell. And Councilor Kenyon.
Aye.
Did I already ask?
I thought you did.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
You didn't get. That's what.
Councilor Carmen. I got my list. All right.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Next, 9.2 is the Triple Summit Challenge RTMP funding request. Yeah, you want to introduce that?
Yes. All right. Devin Vance Coy, who is a former high school teacher here, now living in Eugene, he's organized the Oak Ridge Triple Summit Challenge, which is a running race for about 5-6 years now. He's been granted RTMP funds in the past, which means he's not eligible for the full 2,500. He's only eligible for 1,000. So he's asking for that maximum amount. Is scheduled for this August 4th through 6th. He's also requesting a partial fee waiver of $1,000 off of the $2,500 it costs him to rent Green Waters Park for the 3 days, which includes 2 nights of camping. This request is made due to the fact that last year, and he said in years past, he was only charged $1,500, which is the rate of $500 per day just for the amphitheater. That was an error. He should have been charged $2,500 because in our policies, it does state that if the entire park is being rented, such as it is, if an event is taking up the entire park and there's overnight camping, it requires you to rent the entire park. Also, if there's a fee involved in the event, it requires you renting the entire park. However, he obviously didn't plan for that expenditure, so he's asking for a partial fee waiver so that his expenses match his expectations. And I told him that that was something that I couldn't do myself and it would have to go to council. It seemed like a reasonable request. This event does bring a lot of people to town. And, I think this event will get bigger. It's become more popular over the years and I expect it will get bigger. And I believe Devin is online. Oh, sorry, no, it's right here. Thank you. To answer any questions you have.
All right, I have a motion, please.
I move to waive $1,000 of the $2,500 park rental fees and to grant $1,000 in RTMP funds for the 2023 Oak Ridge Triple Summit Challenge.
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Councilor Kenyon and seconded by Councilor Coker, and that was to waive $1,000 of the 2,500 park rental fees and to grant $1,000 in RTMP funds for the 2023 Oak Ridge Triple Summit Challenge. Discussion.
I just have one question, and I know this has happened before recently. We're sure that there's no conflict of the park there's nothing else going on.
No.
Okay, that's the only question I have. I don't want that to happen again.
In fact, we've already made the reservation for next year.
Councilor Holly.
So wasn't last year your first year?
No, last year was the first year I did camping. I've actually put on this event since 2017.
Okay.
So this will be my 7th year. Putting on the Christian Soul Challenge.
I don't have any more questions.
Councilor Coker. Councilor Kenyon.
Yeah, I just had the one question is, do you know why that it wasn't charged in the past?
Probably something to do with turnover in my position, or perhaps somebody up front just made an error. I don't know. It's in the fine print of the packet that you get when you rent the park, so maybe you don't notice that. Because he doesn't, last year he didn't use the community building, et cetera, he just used the amphitheater. As I told him this year, like, have to rent the whole park, even if you don't use other buildings. But you can use the community building.
Okay.
All right. While I support the RTMP funding, I'm not a supporter of waiving a portion of the fee for aforementioned reasons that the city needs the revenue that comes in from those fees to maintain the parks. So I'm not a fan of that. But last shot since you made the motion, Mr. Council Kenyon. Nothing else? Okay, James, go for a vote.
All right. Start online at Councilor Coker,
Aye.
Councilor Tarman. Mayor Cutchin,
No.
Councilor Hooker,
Aye.
Councilor Holly,
Hi.
Councilor Kenyon.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to 9.3, and that's Charlie Diaz retirement gift after 21 years as a reserve police officer for Oak Ridge. James, you're probably the perfect guy to introduce him.
Sure. All right, so Charlie Diaz has been an unpaid reserve police officer with us for 21 years. Why people do this? Oh wait, I do this too sometimes. Why you put your life on the line for free? It takes a special person to do that. Charlie is a special person. And I think that, you know, even though he's just been a volunteer, because he's been doing this for 21 years, it would be appropriate for city council to present him with a little something to show our appreciation of his service and dedication. I'm requesting up to $250 of our non-allocated general funds to make a shadow box like the one in the picture, this kind of police memorabilia, whatnot, which council will then present to Mr. Diaz at a future council meeting. Separately, the police department has taken up a personal collection for a gift certificate to Mr. Diaz, and if members of the public want to contribute to that effort, they may do so by donating at the police department or to myself. Sure it's there. And that's for the personal gift to Mr. Diaz. We're asking the council though is to make the shadow box.
Next, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve up to 250 in non-allocated general funds to purchase the badge and other items for a shadow box to later be presented by council officer Charlie Diaz in retirement gift in recognition of his decades of service.
I'll second that.
Made by Councilor Hollis, seconded by Councilor Kenyon. Discussion.
Appreciate all the work he's done for Oak Ridge. I can say I've been part of many events where he's been such an help. So awesome.
All I can say is Charlie is going to be sorely missed, I think. He is, he's been absolutely amazing in my book, helping out with All Fun Night and all of that. So
Absolutely. Vaccination clinic, all of it. Councilor Kenyon?
Yep. I just want to say I appreciate everything he's done as well, and this is a well-deserved gift.
Councilor Coker, do you have anything, any discussion or comments?
I just want to thank Charlie, and he's definitely going to be missed. He was one of a kind.
Yes, he was. James, call for a vote, please. To approve up to $250 in a non-allocated general funds to purchase a badge and other items for a shadow box to later be presented by council to Reserve Police Officer Charlie Diaz as a retirement gift, recognition for his decades of service.
Councilor Kenyon,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Councilor Holland,
Hi.
Councilor Hooker,
I,
Councilor Tarman, and Councilor Coker.
Hi.
Carries you. 9.4, that's the library roof repairs. Yeah.
Sure. So there's a leak from one of the skylights in the library. It was pretty bad. It was dripping right on the middle of the floor in between aisles. Georgie had to put buckets in the middle of the floor, which obviously was a problem. Public trying to go around those. I did a patch job up there with a lot of silicone and a tar that has stopped the leak temporarily, but it's only temporary. While I was up there, I noticed there were 3 other skylights that had been attempted to be repaired with basically just a bunch of tar. And I should mention that the one that was leaking, we're trying to fix, had also been tried to be fixed with a bunch of tar. It's not working. The guy that came out that thinks he can repair it told me that there's actually something chemical between the tar stuff and the metal roof, that they kind of work against each other or eat each other. Not a scientist, I don't understand it, but he said that generally not a good idea. However, he thinks that he can fix it, but he's not sure exactly how long it will take, because he'll have to remove the skylight and see how it was installed. So he can't give us an exact estimate, but he says that he's certain it would be under $2,500. Compare that, and they're simply going to charge us $85 per man hour, so another plus materials costs, replacement costs. So in other words, if there's two people working, $85 an hour, that's two people, however long it takes, plus cost of materials. I think that once we fix that, we can determine if we want to use additional funds to fix the other skylights that have leaked in the past, or if we just want to wait until each one starts leaking again. You can actually see the stains that go in the library. Past leaks.
Have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve up to $2,500 in ARPA funds to fix the leaking skylight on the roof in the library.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Hooker and seconded by Councilor Kenyon Antrim. Any discussion? Councilor Coker, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Farmer?
Is that the?
That's the only thing we've got.
Councilor Hall?
No.
Kenyon?
Yes, I wanted to find out if you know, from maybe our records, have we hired someone in the past to do the roof repair and that's why there's tar up there? Or do you think it got installed that way?
No, it was a repair afterwards, and it's a local guy. Georgie told me his name. What's that?
Don Jackson.
That might be it, actually.
Jason.
I think it might be the Don Jackson fellow. A little bit older, maybe? Okay.
Both local roofers.
That Don Jackson is ringing the bell. Don't quote me on that. Georgie told me, and I just can't remember. What it was the local guy that put the car up there to attempt to fix.
I just wondered if we knew how long ago it was done and whether or not there was any kind of warranty on the repair.
I highly doubt that there would be a warranty on the repair. And I don't know if there are records for the repairs or not.
I asked Robert, he might have memory of it being repaired. I don't know.
My guess is that it wasn't recent then, like in the last year or.
No.
Yes.
No.
Councilor Hooker, anything?
Just one question. I'm sure it's approved and all of that. Everything out of the ARPA has to go for something. So that's all. That would be something that would be fine to use it on. I mean, that's not that much, but
Oh, yeah.
we need to make sure. Okay.
Great. Any other questions, second questions? You heard James, the motion here was to approve up to $2,500 in ARPA funds to fix the leaking skylight of the roof of the library, on the roof of the library. James, can you call for a vote? Yes.
Councilor Holly.
Aye.
Councilor Coker.
Aye. Excuse me, aye.
Councilor Tarman.
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon.
Aye.
Councilor Hooker.
Aye.
Carries. On to 9.6, which is new application questions for planning commissioners.
Did we skip 9.5?
Thank you. 9.5, well, number 2, restrictive easement update.
So I believe Rick Zylstra is online to give us an update on the progress of the easement here, well number 2.
Evening, Mayor and Council, city staff. We've been working with our city attorney, our city engineer, and Oregon Health Authority as we work towards resolution regarding the need for a restrictive easement for well number 2. The reason I wanted to show this to you guys is there's a few steps that are going to get us to resolution, but it's not a straight line. There's a couple different places where it could veer off, leading to different decisions or different actions and different costs. And to make that more simpler, it's not very simple, but nonetheless, we've included the decision tree, which helps explain decisions are made where, what, and how they affect the whole situation. I just wanted to present that to you all so that there were no surprises. Some of our options are going to be more attractive than others, but nonetheless, I present this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks, Rick, and there's no motion to be had. It's for information, but is there any discussion on this at all? That's okay.
Yes, a couple of things is, I remember when this first came up, it seemed like there might be 2 places and it involved, and this is only mentioning one of them. So I wondered.
No, you are correct. That is only an example of one of them. That's correct. I was just, there are 3 places involved, yes.
Okay, so if it does.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just clarifying that this issue will come back to us for all of the above, all 3.
Correct. This was just an example. I felt that one property showing was cleaner than the 3.
Right. Okay. My second question is, or should I wait until we go back again? Mayor?
So once.
Okay.
Mr. Coker, do you have a question?
No, sir.
Thank you.
My second question is on the decision tree that is shown. Right in the center, the box that starts with the city acquires property. Isn't that something that would happen in both scenarios and not just one, like we would, or at least the part about paying for structures? Wouldn't that happen in both scenarios? Paying for structures to be?
I think I understand the question, but no. If the property owners are willing to give us a restrictive easement, then we jump straight to assessing the value of the restrictive easement and paying for it. But if they're not willing to give us a restrictive easement and OHA does not give us an approved waiver, then we have to follow the path of condemnation. And then after we follow the path of condemnation, then we're back again to the property being appraised and the city paying for it. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, we can.
It does answer my question, I think, although I just wondered if it's still possible with the property owner saying yes for the OHA to not approve the waiver.
If they say yes, then there's no reason to ask for the waiver. And in fact, that's part of our due diligence before we can even approach OHA for a waiver. We have to approach the landowners and ask them the question. They won't even talk to us unless we do that. I mean, they'll talk to us, but they won't talk to us about a waiver until we approach the landowners.
So I guess the bottom line, my question is, why would only one scenario involve moving structures and not the other?
That's a good question. I do believe that maybe this wasn't written as well as it could have, because yes, both those would be moving permitted structures. Yes.
When they enforced the restrictive easement, they agreed to have the structure removed.
Oh, okay. So then,
Correct.
so then I guess my original question is that yes, that box would apply to both scenarios, that we would be moving structures.
Yes, the second part of that box.
Second part.
Both scenarios. My apologies. Yeah.
Rick, just one question. Has any informal preliminary liaison been done with OHA at all?
Liaison as far as I've been emailing them back and forth. There's been no in-person conversations as of yet, but there's been quite a bit of conversation regarding this with them via email.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Holland?
What's the cost for the land surveying or appraisals?
I don't know that cost, and I'm not gonna try, I'd rather not guess at the cost, because the costs change all the time. For the survey, if you're asking about the survey cost alone, there's a lot of factors that go into that. For example, how far they have to go to get to true property pins or true corners of the PLSS system, the public land survey system. If they have to go a longer direction, it's more man hours. So for the survey, it could range $5,000 to $10,000 on average. And then for the property values, again, I'm a little hesitant to throw numbers out there, because each one of them is going to be a different size of restrictive easement, and each one of them have a different use that we're restricting on that easement that was permitted. But for example, if you look at the image, I'm going to guess that to be about a quarter of the property that we're asking them, and a quarter of that property does include a garage that they were permitted for. Let's just throw out there that a property like that is worth $400,000, and we are restricting the use of a quarter of it. Again, I'm just spitballing here, but that is something that would come from a professional appraisal.
All right. Thank you, Rick, for the update. We'll move on to 9.6. Now we're at the new application questions for planning commissioners.
All right. Again, Mayor and Council. Oh, do you want me to go and take it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Again, Mayor and Council, our questionnaire for our planning commissioners is kind of dated. One of the questions refers to the Highway 58 refinement plan, which was completed in 2006. I would like to ask the council to update the questionnaire with questions not bound to an outlined, outdated, or any dated project for that matter. That way, as we complete projects and move on, we're not asking project related questions. I've provided some examples in here, kind of tossed some out there that I thought would be good questions, but it's up to the council to decide on that. So.
Thanks, Rick. Have a motion?
I move to approve the recommended questionnaire.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilor Tarman, seconded by Councilor Kenyon to move to approve the recommended questionnaire for planning commission applicants. Any discussion? Councilor Coker?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Turner?
It makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, the changes make sense to me as well.
Coker? Councilor Kenyon?
I just wanted to add that I appreciate the update for multiple reasons on the old questionnaire. Thank you for all that work and the research.
Thank you. James, motion is to move to approve the recommended new questionnaire for planning commission applicants. Can you call for a vote, please?
Councilor Tarman. Aye. Councilor Holland.
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
Aye.
Councilor Hooker.
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon.
Aye.
Councilor Coker.
Aye.
Motion passes. 9.7, Warming Center March extension and OHS donated storage shed at Green Waters Park. Yeah.
Well, if you haven't noticed, it's been snowing a lot in Oak Ridge recently. It's been cold. The extended forecast, last I checked, still calls for that for the foreseeable future. So the Warming Center volunteers are willing to continue their efforts through the month of March if necessary. They anticipate only be about another week or so. How they can predict the weather, future of the weather, I don't know, but that's from years past. Usually mid-March, it warms up enough. We have to pay, even if, we have to pay $400 for the whole month. They don't sell partial month insurance policies, so it would cost the city $400 for the continued insurance. In addition, the high school has built it was originally kind of a tiny home, but they've made it so that it's more for storage. Beautiful little building. There's a photo of it here that they wish to donate to the city to be used primarily for storage for the warming center in the winter so that they can put the cots and stuff in a storage shed, have the community building available for rentals and not have to cart stuff back and forth in their cars like they have been doing. But it can also be used for anyone renting the park. It would be an excellent ticket booth. And the location that I'm proposing is right by the entrance to the park, which makes sense. And it could also be used for storage for folks having, so they could lock, the organizers could lock stuff in there, have it be secure. So I'm asking for $50 from the park funds to get a plaque made that will say something to the effect of donated by the Oak Ridge High School shop class 2023.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I move to allow the warming center to continue to operate at Green Waters Park through the month of March and to approve up to $50 from the park's budget to be spent on a plaque for the storage shed donated by Oak Ridge High School.
Second.
Made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by Councilor Carmen. Discussion? Questions?
I just have a couple of questions. I've noticed that even with the temperatures up a little bit above freezing, like today, everything's open over there and somebody was going into the building when my husband and I went by. And it was, I guess, my concern is it's being open when it's not supposed to be. And if we're going to have that type of rules, I mean, I'm all for that type of thing, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, if we approve something, it should be approved or stayed within those limits unless it comes back to council.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That your concern was that it's been used.
It's being used more than like when the temperatures are up, and like today it's open. So
If it was open, it wasn't for the warming center. Because I have the keys.
okay, somebody was going in there.
Well, the caretakers just wanted to clean, we changed things too, so I don't know who it was, but
Okay, all the signs are marked as open.
as they're marked as open, so that they begin at 6 o'clock in the evening. The open signs are indicative that they're open at night, not 24/7. We have been open sometimes during the day when it has been cold or very snowy, and I've always asked for permission ahead of time from the CA
Okay,
just to be open. But no, we do not open unless it's 32 degrees or lower.
okay. So what has happened then, you've gone to him and he has approved it, is my understanding. Right,
We
okay,
like to be open during that day because the temperatures are going to get a bit of freezing. And he said, yeah, that's fine. And then we usually have 4 or 5 people that stay. Well, actually, no, it's like 2 or 3 people that stay and a couple of people that'll pop in just to warm up again and go back out. I don't anticipate that we need to do that at all for the rest of the month. But the temperatures we do not have a temperature above 32 degrees until next Friday.
right,
So we would anticipate it will still be open. We check the temperatures every day to see whether or not we'll be open or not. If it doesn't rise above 32 or We also do factor in if there is any critical weather situations going on, if we have a severe storm come in or high winds, that would push the wind chill way low. So we factor that in, because there have been a few occasions when it's been like 33, but we have a wind chill factor that brings it down to like 27. So that makes it even harder for folks.
Okay,
But somebody was in there today.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
will.
I saw somebody that
Yeah, I'll check with the caretaker.
okay, I was gonna say, and I can describe her, so it might be the caretaker, I don't know, but with all the signs saying open, and they've said open for a few days, so that's why I wanted to make sure that I just am concerned,
Thank you.
that's it.
Any other questions? Council?
So with this building, originally when we approved the warming center, this was supposed to be a temporary use for Green Waters. And my concern is that by putting the structure, it makes it more of a permanent solution. Is that the goal?
Maybe I didn't, sorry, I forgot
I'm
to
just,
add the part that when the warming center is not running, we're anticipating that the community building may be used next winter because the WAC may not be done and may not go in the WAC. So the storage unit would only be utilized by the warming center folks during the 3 months the warming center is open. Then the stuff will be stored in the WAC or somewhere else.
and my concern is that the warming center is still looking for a permanent home.
Yes, we are.
Okay, that was. Thanks. Yeah, that's my last question.
Thank you. James, call for a vote, please. The motion was to allow the warming. You have another question, Councilor King?
I don't think I asked one. I don't think you've asked me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I just noticed one thing I wondered for clarification on. It said we've been open 20 days and providing a warm place to sleep 41 different times. So I wondered what. Thank you.
And that's an old report, we've been open since that report, almost every day.
Oh, okay, so add like 20 days. Okay,
Yeah.
I wondered how much it had been utilized
Yes.
over the course of the winter.
Every day since that report went out, and we have a good cadre of volunteers, working more every day that are willing to either provide food or come in and stay for a 4-hour shift, so it's going very well.
Thank you.
All right. James?
Sorry. Mayor Cutchin. Aye. Councilor Kenyon.
Aye.
Councilor Hawley.
Aye.
Councilor Tarmer. Councilor Hooker.
Hi,
Councilor Coker.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to 9.8, that's the fire department reader board brought up by Councilor Howard.
Yeah, this is just for discussion and possible future meeting, but as you know, we approved the go ahead on the reader board for the fire department, and Eugene Sign and Audie came out this last week to do measurements, and I spoke to them today about the top portion on the sign at the fire department about getting a new one. That was a separate discussion, but in that discussion, I was talking with them about what's going to happen with the LED reader board that's currently there. And he said that was slated for removal, meaning as in they just take it, essentially get rid of it. They're not, giving it to another place. So I wanted to ask this council their thoughts on having that repurposed at the WAC. I thought was possibly we could use some of the WAC grant funds or possibly ARPA funds and move it there so that in the future when that building is revitalized, have messages that come across that the reader board works fine. It's just, it can only be really operated from one PC. So I hate to see it go away. It did come to the fire department by a grant several years ago. It's still a good piece of equipment. And the WAC is a city building that, if the theater were in there, if there were a warming center, having word go across there would be really, really nice.
Councilor Kenyon.
Do you know where we would be able to store it in the meantime for the WAC?
For the WAC.
Oh, of course. Well, I was just, I don't know, thinking since it was closed, but okay, yeah.
And I mean, some considerations would be, we would need to have, and my thoughts were, since Eugene Signing is going to be there this month, maybe the next time they come, they can give us a quote on what it would cost to get that installed over at the WAC, so that it's kind of killing two birds with one stone while they're here. Point this out with that.
So what's so special about the one computer?
It's just a software, it's called Daktronics, and it's just, it's not really anything special, it's just that software only allows one piece to operate it, so that's why they're moving to the new screen, so that it's app-based, it's multiple people can change it, the old one, it's only able to be changed, I'm assuming hardwired by that point.
So the license can be transferred to another computer or?
Well, or that computer, it's, I mean, yeah, or that computer to go back. Yeah.
You know,
I think it's just that it can only be on. It's just kind of cumbersome, but it still works. It's not like it won't work. It's a nice LED big screen, it's actually two.
So Coker, any questions on this?
No questions. I just think it's a great idea to keep it here in Oak Ridge, and it will definitely benefit the WAC.
Any thoughts, James?
The only thing I was gonna say is we might be able to do some of that installation work in-house.
Okay. Great, thank you. Moving on to 9.9.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councilor Kenyon.
I'd like to make a motion to save and repurpose the reader board that's being uninstalled from the fire department.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by Councilor Coker. Motion was to save and repurpose the reader board being removed from the fire department.
Mhm.
Any other discussion on this?
I personally would like to see both on tape.
And we can get that weather here.
So I just wanted to clarify, it sounds like it's already included in this new reader board that we're having installed, that they're going to remove the old one. So that part's already paid for. What you're talking about is potentially getting a quote to reinstall it somewhere else, which in my opinion could wait until a later date, because we might have 5 years before the WAC is even up and running. So I don't necessarily think that needs to be a part of this motion.
While they're here. Maybe they could give us a quote on what it would cost, or like James said, maybe it's.
I thought we don't necessarily need a motion for you to get a quote.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's all I'm saying.
I just wanted to clarify that my motion is to save and repurpose the one that's already coming down.
So that motion was made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by Coker, to save and repurpose the report from the fire department. Any other discussion on this? I will. Okay, James.
Councilor Hall,
Aye.
Councilor Tarman,
I
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon,
Aye.
Councilor Hooker,
Aye.
Councilor Coker.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. On to 9.9, which is council rules, again, brought up by Councilor Holland. Is this?
It actually tags on to what Councilor Kenyon mentioned. Councilor comments are, I think it would be a good time for us to all look at council rules and familiarize ourselves with them. Again, it's a good time to if there's any revisions that need to be made, because that one item particularly was brought up at the last meeting and one person wasn't allowed to speak, but then another was allowed to speak, and then again tonight, Kathy in the back was also speaking. I feel very comfortable with audience members being involved in conversation, but not everybody does, so I think it's a good conversation for us to talk about in council rules. So maybe setting a work session where maybe all trying to comb rules for that again.
Any other discussion? Councilor Kenny?
I agree with that, and actually part of our council rules, or at least part of the discussion when we originally approved the current set of council rules was to review them on a regular basis, and it has been a few years. So that makes a lot of sense to me, and I can't think of them right now, but at home I have a couple things written down that I feel probably need to get looked at for a revision. So I would support having a work session. I think we should do that.
Be able to come with some dates, James.
For a work session.
I'll offer this, most cities that I've come across, who I'm working for on another job, do it almost annually as part of the process to review council rules procedure. This was based on our template from League of Oregon Cities, which I think is being updated now. So that would also be important to look at. I would encourage council members to individually go through the council rules procedure and penalty changes and let the CA know what they are before we set up a work session. So I'd ask that until you get input from all of us to, with revisions, proposed revisions, or none with, recommended, that we then have the work session after you have that input, so we can start from that level instead of having to go through it all from the beginning in a live session. Councilor Kenny.
I would also agree with that, and maybe we could just set a date like a month out or 6 weeks out for submissions of.
Okay, yeah, let's give this month, for everybody, I think, month, look through those 27 pages. That's great. Work session that's going to put us in right smack in the middle of budget, so it's going to be an interesting time. Maybe we should do it in early July. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe it might be simple. Great. So, motion's there. Okay. On to 10, which is 10.1 RFP for Realtor of Record. James, you want to introduce this?
Right. Well, as council will remember, on December 5th, we put out an RFP for Realtor of Record. It was answered by one real estate firm, Joy Kingsbury Real Estate. Reviewed by myself, Community Development Director Rick Zylstra, and Council Parman. Determined that the RFP, the response to the RFP met all the standards in the RFP. I then had some negotiations with Joy Kingsbury regarding the commission rate. We were able to come to an agreement for the typical commission rate will be 5% on all sales, which is consistent with the 4.99% state average. And it will be lowered to 4% for any in-house sales. Those are buyers who are not represented by a real estate agent, or if Kingsbury Real Estate firm is representing both parties, and that would be lowered to 4%. And we've got folks in the room and online from the real estate firm to ask questions to, and the draft of the response, which is part of the contract, has been presented to council for potential approvals.
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the noise that's going on in the building is very distracting to me, and I'm wondering
I can
what that
fix that.
is.
It's the dispatch radio.
And,
That's.
are you sure it's something?
I was worried if we had someone in the building on the radio that we didn't know about.
I thought I turned it off.
Thank you.
We have a motion is on the record.
I move to approve the real estate record contract with Joy Kingsbury Real Estate through the end of 2024.
Second that.
Made by Councilor Tarman, seconded by Councilor Kenyon. Discussion on this.
Just one question. What has been the normal percentage for that as far as commission that we've had in the past? I know things have gone up, so.
Gotcha. Our previous, let's see. The last one we had was Equinox Real Estate. That was 2017 to approximately 2020, I think. It says compensation be a maximum of 8% commission. If contractor represents both the city and the buyer in a real estate transaction, or 4% commission if contractor represents only the city in a real estate transaction pursuant to this agreement. That's the only realtor of record contract that we've had that I could find. There may be old ones, I don't know.
Right.
Couldn't find anything. And then I did include press release from City of Oregon City, where they mentioned their realtor of record is between 4 and 5%.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Kenyon?
Yes, thank you. I actually did not write down the name of the website, but I found a website today that talks about commercial real estate commissions. And it mentions that the seller actually typically pays commissions for both sides, for the buyer and the seller. So it was interesting to me to see the commission on here, it being lower when it would represent both sides versus only one side. Is that how it was written?
That's my understanding, that 4% for in-house commissions, perhaps someone from Kingsbury Real Estate can answer that.
So the 4% is if the seller always pays commission in any real estate transaction.
Yeah.
If you were to represent the buyer and the seller, let's say we're representing the seller. Someone comes to us and says, hey, I'm really interested in the property, then we're able to lower that percentage to 4% because we're working with both sides. If an agent comes and has a buyer, then that's the 5%. You have to split that commission. Actually, it's 4 ways. Broker and the principal broker for each office.
Oh, so you mean then you would be getting the full commission, but you have to share it with the other agents?
Correct.
Good to know. That helps explain that.
So one agent is not receiving the full commission. It's split in the office.
Okay.
A little off topic because we're really saying yes or no to the realtor of record RFP selection. So, any other questions?
Thank you for the explanation.
James, call for a vote, please.
Yes. All right. Councilor Coker.
Aye.
Councilor Hooker.
Aye.
Councilor Hollett.
Hi.
Councilor Tarman. Councilor Kenyon.
Aye.
Mayor Hutchins.
Aye.
I'm sorry, can you remind me who made the motion?
Made by Council Carmen, seconded by Council King. All right, on to 10.2, and that's the Junction City Dispatch updates. Steve, is that you?
That is, and I was hoping to have a little more of an update today, but I don't. So as some of you may have heard, the city of Junction City also has to approve the dispatch contract. There is some hesitancy there. I don't know every factor, but it has not been brought to their council yet for approval. And they may not want to do it, or they may bring it to council, council may vote it down. I've asked for some clarification on this from the city. We're supposed to be meeting to talk about it. Email I sent out with possible dates and times early last week hasn't been answered yet, so I sent another one out today. Asking, can I get a clear answer? Is it still in discussions or is it dead? What's going on? So I don't have much of an update for you, except that it's still in progress. And as soon as I hear any type of solid answer one way or the other, I will act accordingly and let council know. For instance, if they say it's dead and they don't want to do it, then I will immediately start writing an RFP. If that is the case. Yeah, sure.
Okay, just so I know, my understanding is it was originally a no, we're not gonna do it. Correct?
Kind of. So the way I read the email was we're
Not at
not
this time.
interested at this time,
Right,
but we don't have a lot of time.
well, that's the second part of my question is, and I don't mean to put you on the hot seat, but should we not do an RFP now? Is it not ethical to do one? Or, I mean, we're on a crunch that we really need to figure out something and have a definite answer. We can't just keep sending emails and I'm sorry, but we can't. You know, I'm concerned because our citizens need protecting. And it's, you know, if we don't get that, then we're down another month or two. So that's all I have.
Councilor Kenyon.
So it sounds like there's some kind of email that says we're not going to do this at this time.
Basically, but then I received a second email saying something to the effect of, okay, made valid points, this benefit both cities. Let's sit down and talk. So I gave my availability. This was early last week, and I have not heard back on that from the CA and Junction City as far as meetings. So I sent them another one today saying, basically said, are we going to meet? Or is this dead? What's going on? I haven't heard.
Would it be appropriate for us to consider making giving direction that as soon as we know for sure if this is not going to be valid, to move forward with getting an RFP out there so that there's no wasted time, that we don't have to come back to council 2 weeks later or something of that sort?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll start writing it right away, but you'll still have to approve it.
In my mind, you've already really approved him to submit an RFP for dispatch services. One didn't work, so what's wrong with him just going ahead and continuing that process
And doing more.
and doing another one?
Well, actually, we didn't do one the first time. We just,
It's true, as IGA, we didn't have to do an RFP. We just reached out to.
So I'll offer this. So I had a conversation with Sheriff Harold, and what I need to do is sit down with you in your office, and we'll talk about the conversation, what it would take for them to continue their service if need be.
Okay.
So. Councilor Hall.
I would like to strongly urge that we put out an RFP ASAP for maybe dispatch services. I have had 2 counselors from Junction City reach out and did say that it is a done deal and they did not approve it. And had they would have never approved $100,000. I do know that James is correct, that there is some he said, she said going on over there, but I think for the safety of our citizens and for us, we need to move forward despite whatever's going on over there. Put out an RFP and get that going. In the meantime, if something works out with the sheriff's office, that's great, but there's a lot of other features that we really need here that we're not getting from LCSO.
Councilor Kenyon.
I'm sorry, to clarify, did you have something else too?
Oh, no, I thought she was getting skipped.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor, I would actually be interested in knowing what the discussion was with the sheriff as well. Why would that be private conversation?
Why would it be? Because it's a personnel matter.
Okay,
And if it comes to the point where we can share it, we certainly will.
thank you.
You want to articulate a motion
Sure.
to put on RFP?
Sure, I move that we ask the city administrator to draft an RFP for dispatch services.
I'll second that.
Made by Councilor Hall, seconded by Councilor Kenyon, that's to direct the city administrator to draft an RFP for dispatch services ASAP.
I have one thought on that, just, I think it's a good idea and I'm gonna do it if, once they tell me no. I think it's a little premature and it makes us go back on our agreement. Council agreed to their proposal, and I think that if we put out an RFP, that, you know, that's us reneging on our.
I think that's within your city business, city CEO business to do the timing of the RFPs. Doesn't get into the problems. How's that?
Didn't you say they're not returning your calls, though? They sent an email to us saying they will not be doing dispatch at this time, and now they're not returning your calls.
Been about a week, you know, which has been frustrating, but.
So I think if you send them a note, just saying you're withdrawing RFP application, if you want to do it that way, but I don't want to get into legal problems by putting an RFP out and all of a sudden decide to honor our agreement, so.
Right.
That's hard, just put out in mind, hear back by the state of
Yep. Maybe consult the city attorney for calling. All right, so
Thank you, James.
any more discussion on the motion made by Councilor Hollis?
I didn't put it in my motion, but I didn't want to add the part that if something happens in the meantime, we should consider that with the LCSO.
You want to restate the motion?
Sure. I move to instruct the city administrator to draft an RFP immediately for dispatch services. In the meantime, allow the mayor to discuss dispatch with LCSO if there's another option, but to proceed with an RFP.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Again, made by Councilor Hollis, seconded by Councilor Kenyon. Any further discussion or vote? James?
All right. This one. Okay, Councilor Hooker,
Aye.
Councilor Tarman,
I
Councilor Hollis, Mayor Cutchin,
No.
Councilor Kenyon,
Aye.
and Councilor Coker.
All right, motion carries. On to 10.3, which is the request for proposal for the WAC Land Activity Center architect. CA?
All right, so you have an RFP that is ready to go. In front of you, this will be to hire an architect to basically be in charge of the renovation project. So they'll be helping us draft additional RFPs for specific projects such as the roof, electrical actually doesn't need RFP, but basically someone to oversee the entire project. So what we're asking is you approve the draft RFP, which I will immediately post on Orbuys, stands for Oregon Buys, orbuys.gov, I think, as well as our city website. There's a tentative schedule. I know council wants to get this done as soon as possible, so I've tried to streamline it as much as possible. Get the RFP out tomorrow. Then we close it by the end of the month. And then my suggestion, and it's in the RFP, is that the WAC subcommittee would review all the RFP responses. And then maybe, make a recommendation to council or potentially schedule interviews if deemed necessary. And then approximately April 4th, we would issue a notice of intent. And we would start negotiating the finer details of the contract, fees, and scope of work. And finally, on April 4th, City Council would then be authorizing final contract. And we could get going by getting the documents out, the RFP out for roofers. And then hopefully start this summer, because a lot of things could happen between now and then, a lot of variances and people's schedules to work around, so such as the roofers. That's the tentative.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the draft RFP for immediate posting to hire an architect for renovation of the WAC.
I'll second that.
The motion was made by Councilor Hooker and seconded by Councilor Coger to approve the draft RFP for immediate posting to hire an architect for renovation of a WAC. Discussion, Councilor Katie?
Yes, I would like to know why we would not use the city engineer for organizing all of this instead of hiring an architect to organize all of this.
I think that's maybe, it's just not necessarily in his wheelhouse, but he could certainly bid for it. He's more of an engineer than an architect.
Can actually draw the plans for the roof. That's not really what Ed does for a living. So we need an architect to actually draw up the plans that guide the construction of the roof.
Right, but I thought all of this stuff in the RFP kind of makes it sound like they would be organizing all of the
They do
construction.
that as well. So they draw up the plans for the roof, and they would also coordinate the electrical repairs at the same time and any other ancillary upgrades to the building. It would be an architectural firm that would do that, or an architect.
So that's standard for an architect to do
Yes.
all of that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the architect that is doing the feasibility study that South Carolina Solutions hired did the Lowell Library. So he's done all of that. So it's common.
Most architects are really, when they design something, they want to make sure it's designed like they designed it. So it's pretty typical. They will be hands-on throughout the entire project. They may not be pouring the cement themselves or nailing the boards together, but their design, they want to make sure it's exactly as they're designed. They tend to stay with the project the whole time. So yeah.
Okay, so then we would be just using the plans to then hire a roofer or an electrician or a,
He'll do all that. It will be subcontracted from him.
Yeah, so sorry. So he'll be putting out the bid documents similar to an RFP. That's how we get bids. So it's a similar process, but they're bid documents, not RFP. Sorry if I said RFP. You still have to get 3 bids because it's going to be well over $50,000.
to hire the architect. Or for the whole project.
Contractor that's going to do the roof. It'll be over $50,000.
Yeah, the roof's probably close to $1 million by itself. Or maybe over $1 million, I don't know.
Do you have a question, Councilor?
Yeah, so I called James about this earlier today to ask some questions on this, but so after we choose an architect, the council will still put out an RFP for the roof. And the council will choose who does the roof, or are you saying the architect will? Because when we had Kurt here several months ago, he said there was 2 options to do it. He said you could hire an architect and not have any say so or that, or you could hire an architect and hire out each thing, like you could hire the roofer, you could do the bid process for the roof, do the bid process for the windows and doors, and you could hire it out that way, and I thought we discussed that we were going to do it that way.
Well, I'll take any direction from council that you want to give me, because like I said, this won't be a signed contract until council approves it, and there will be negotiation. So in the contract for the architect, we can make it.
Why don't we address that when the contract comes up?
So you're saying that the RFP out now, the bid's out now for the architect, and then later on we specify with the
When we
architect.
choose him, then we draw a contract to hire him or her. We can have a discussion and talk about how the contract should be written. Councilor Kenyon?
But isn't it true that the RFP that we would be approving right now, if we do, includes that language that they would be doing all of that? They would be bidding on doing all of it?
I think I saw that in there, and that's actually what prompted me to ask James the question.
I don't think there's anything in this RFP requiring them to do any of the
I don't want
work
them to
themselves.
bid, I just wouldn't want them, if the council doesn't want them to make the selection, this is that they're okay. So
I don't have the whole thing with me.
it doesn't really get specific. It says right here, the notice of award, to provide written notice.
I was just, is there concern about having a more general contractor who manages the project? Versus a council? Just good from my background being construction. Based on liability. When there's issues. Push it to the general contract. They have to recognize the issues where they be responsible for negotiating problems.
Oh, well, for me, it was just a matter of understanding what we were doing by doing the RFP this way. It kind of sounds like Mayor Ketchum clarified that the way I was reading it was correct, that if we hire an architect, we use this RFP to hire an architect, then that architect would be then getting all the subcontracting bids and approving them or not, depending on whatever's in their scope. So I just wanted to clarify that that's what we would be approving if we do this.
Well, I don't see anything in the RFP that talks about the architect or hiring architect, approving or disapproving or letting the city approve of the contractors, the subcontractors. So I think we'll have the opportunity to modify that if we need to, once we select the architect.
Yeah, I mean, we could, if council wanted to, we could put it in the architect's contract that council has to approve every decision they make. We want, I mean,
It really matters what's in the contract, not what's in the RFP, you can write that.
Okay.
Like Councilor Carmen said, I think there's some some good things that come from having the architect select the bidders and be responsible for that. Comes to any problems occur. Any further discussion on this?
You know, as long as we're not tying into still have the option.
So the motion was to move to approve the draft RFP for immediate posting to hire architect on recommendation of the WAC. CA, can you call for a vote, please?
Yes. Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Hallett,
I,
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
and Counselor Coker.
Dropped off.
She just texted. Oh, she needs to be let back in, I believe.
Councilor Coker, I don't know if you heard the conversation we were having. How much did you get on the RFP for the WAC architect?
I missed most of it. For some reason, I lost connection.
The motion was to approve the draft RFP for immediate posting to hire an architect for the renovation of the WAC. We've all voted except for you. You need more information before you can make that choice?
Just a real quick overview, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Sure. So this would allow the city administrator to publish the RFP immediately. That would ask for applications to be the architect and the person who would hire the subcontractors to do the actual work on the WAC. And we would hope to have the RFP closed out and brought to council for approval by the first meeting in April. Is that correct, Tim?
Yes, hopefully.
Because there's no time to waste the weather coming, with the summer coming. So that's the basic idea.
Okay, thank you for that. Are we at the voting part?
Yeah, it's up to you, either aye or nay.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. Sorry about the waiting and so on.
Sorry about losing service. I'm in Portland and it's kind of touchy here.
Out of your hands. Okay, that's great. Moving on to staff committee commission reports. 1.1 is a little out of order because if you remember last session, we adjourned prior to getting report from Colleen, and there was some interest in revisiting that. I know that's not set questions on it. So do we have any verbal to give before we just ask questions? Any questions for Colleen on the finance report?
I had a few.
Councilor Keenan?
So, Colleen, you got my email. Do you want me to read them out loud, or do you know the answers to the questions that I emailed?
I don't remember what was on your email.
Okay, the first one was, the beginning fund balance on the year-to-date actual column is 0. And I wondered, I know that this has come up before, and someone said that the beginning fund balances are there, but they're not. So my question is that something?
No, I mean, I could use what we put in the budget. I was just hoping to get some kind of harder numbers from the auditor. So.
Oh, because the audit hasn't actually been done.
Right, we guesstimated our numbers. I mean, I could put in what we put in the budget. I could change it later if it changes.
Well, the column for annual budget is actually there, so that makes sense that we wouldn't have the actual yet because of the audit. Okay, so then I also noticed that we've only received $11,100 from ARPA this year. We were supposed to get 374,000.
Yeah, I just need to make a journal entry on that and there was. I was missing. The administrative overhead still needs to be done too.
So are you saying that we have received the full amount that we were supposed to for ARPA?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then, the other part that you answered had something to do with, must be further down on my questions. Oh, the administrative overhead, you said?
Yeah.
And what was the answer? We're just
Just journal entries need to be done.
need to be done to make some, so is it the intention then to maybe quarterly or monthly or?
Yeah, quarterly will probably be the best way to do it. That way it kind of goes with our funding that comes in.
Okay. And then did you know what the miscellaneous revenue was?
Yes,
Okay,
it was
1,000.
30,000, yep, it was an overpayment on, employee taxes. That was sitting back to us, I just need to move that back into the expense fund, for taxes to reduce that. When we get stuff like that back in, it just goes to accounts receivable, they put it in, and then I have to, then if it needs to be moved back or something else, because they don't have that option, so it goes in there and then I have to move it.
Okay. Oh, and then it kind of looks like on this imposed public safety fee, the numbers are transposed between the annual budget and the year-to-date actual. Like it's budgeted for 0 and then says we've received the exact amount that we actually did budget for, which was 231,968. The bottom of the first page, if you printed it. Oh, sorry, in my email page. I don't know what document you have.
Oh, here we go. Current actual. Oh, I see. I'll move that over. It was an upload. When I loaded the budget numbers, so it just might have, it's kind of awkward though that it did that.
It is, because I think I've seen it in the other column before, in the correct column, in previous.
Can I just say this is why we're moving from this accounting program?
Okay, that's.
That, I mean, that is very, yeah.
This is why. I'll just write that down.
Yeah.
And then, the last question was on the line for deputy chief. That was budgeted at 0. And we've spent $25,000 on it so far.
So again, this is, because the payroll system that's in this accounting system, that's where these general ledger numbers are stored, and it just kind of, it doesn't process right. So my, right now, I'm just looking at it, if these are wages, I'm not gonna worry about, you know, if they're patrol or dispatch, as long as they're all police and they're staying within their wages, because moving forward, it's all gonna be under one thing anyway. It's not gonna be broken out because we have too much of this
too much. So, I wouldn't worry about that it's under communication sergeant, as long as it's under PD and their budget for their wages are within,
Within the scale.
yeah, it's just, it's weird how it just kind of does this thing, so.
Okay, then we didn't just hire a deputy chief that I didn't know about.
Right.
Okay. All right, that was all I had for now.
Mr. Chairman, did you have some? Mr. Hall?
Yes, my question.
Mr. Hooker? Mr. Coker?
Nothing from me.
Thanks. Colleen, I sent you some stuff, but it was just today, so I'm not gonna.
I was gonna say, I started on that. I got
But I'm not gonna grill you on it, so you just responded.
I will.
What I'm gonna do now, because we have some sort of critical business to take care of, I'm gonna suspend the current spot at 11.1 and move to 15 appointments. Starting with 15.1, that's the council appointment to the library board. So, council rules of procedure and the charter, the mayor appoints, council confirms or approves. So I'd like to make a motion that Councilor Hooker be the council representative to the library board. Wait for a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion was made by me and seconded by Councilor Kenyon. Any discussion on it? Thanks.
Ready for the vote? All right. Counselor Tarman. Aye. Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
Aye.
Counselor Hallett.
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon.
Aye.
Counselor Coker.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Noise.
Is that from the,
Michelle.
oh,
Okay, 15.2, that's council appointment to ODAC. So I move that Councilor Tarman be the council representative to ODAC. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I would like to also express interest in being the counselor on that committee.
Well, I need probably the new approvals. All right. Motion was made by me, seconded by Councilor Hooker. Any discussion? Councilor Kenyon? No? Councilor Hooker? Councilor Hall?
I would like to be the council right into that committee. I have done quite a bit of work and it was put on hold and I just have an interest in being council for that.
Councilor Tarman? Councilor Coker?
Nothing.
Thank you. James, can you call for a vote, please?
Okay. Counselor Coker.
Nay.
Counselor Tarman.
Aye.
Counselor Kenyon.
nay.
Counselor Hallett. Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Mayor Cutchin.
Aye. It says 3-3, right? So motion fails. Okay, on to 15.4. And that is a citizen application to ODAC.
Yes. All right, we have JT Flowers, who has applied for position on the ODAC. I believe they are available. All right. All right.
Wait, no,
I still have an email, by the way.
thanks, James. You had the application in your packet. Any questions, Councilor Kenyon? Okay.
Yes, what,
I'm so sorry. What is- I was just listening to
We're
it.
just gonna grill you a little bit, don't worry
Oh,
about it.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
yeah, I was just gonna ask what your interest is in, or how, yeah, what is your interest in that committee?
Yeah, so, well, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to consider me. It means a lot. This town has been a really beautiful transition in my life. It's been a place that I feel welcomed by, a place that has embraced me in ways that I couldn't have even expected when I decided to make a move up here all alone. I've always been hyperactive in the communities that I've been involved in throughout every stage of my life. And I come from a community in inner Northeast Portland that I saw develop in all the wrong ways, right? So I come from a low-income, primarily underrepresented community. And what happened in my community growing up was a bunch of people with money came in and bought up everything and pushed us all out. So I know about development from my academic experience, from my experience working with the city of Portland on some very similar committees. But I also know about it firsthand and have seen it go wrong in ways that really have cause a lot of harm to residents and people with the long-term historical interests in the intentional and thoughtful development of the place. So my interest in this committee in particular is to try to apply all of my experience and skills into making sure that this place, as it continues to grow, grows with the people who call this place home in mind first, and everything else second. So thank you so much for taking the time to consider me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Just a quick question, is this your home?
Yes. This is
You're gonna be here for a while
yeah,
then.
I want to be here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for all that information. I'm curious what brought you to Oak Ridge.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bit of an unexpected transition for me, as I was saying. I have been living all over the place for the past 9-10 years. So like I said, I grew up in inner Northeast Portland. I ended up going to school on the East Coast, so I spent about 5 years out there. And then I was in the UK going to graduate school for about 3.5, 4 years. So I just moved back home to Oregon. I was kind of getting my feet settled underneath me. I was back home in Portland, and I spent a ton of time in the outdoors. I camped almost every single weekend out of the back of my truck. And there was one day I was just driving through Highway 58, cutting back over. I had been out in Beatty in super far eastern Oregon, looking at acreage because I knew that I had saved up enough money to buy a place. And I was on this drive on the way back, and I stopped in. It was a perfectly clear day. You just saw the mountains on the horizon, and I was like, "It's the most beautiful place I've ever seen." So I went home. First thing I did was start looking on Zillow for places that I might be able to buy here. And it turned out I was lucky enough to be able to afford someplace. So I decided to pull the trigger and make this place home. So I moved up here. It's just me and my 2 dogs, and we love it. We're up in the mountains every day, running around and hiking trails and having a good time. So yeah, I'm honored to be here and really happy to be here. It feels like home.
Awesome.
Charmaine. Councilor Cooker, any questions?
No questions. I just wanted to say thank you
Great, thank you.
for hearing it.
All right, James, you call for a vote, please?
Sure. Councilor Coker,
Aye.
Mayor Ketchum,
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon,
Aye.
Councilor Hooker,
Absolutely, aye.
Councilor Holland,
I definitely.
and Councilor Turner.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, now we'll go back to 11.2 and get some debriefs on committee meetings. Determine anything for parts of committee too?
Sick during gas meeting.
Rick?
Yep, so I was gonna take that. So yeah, we had the Parks and Community Services meeting where for the new business, and actually starting with old business, we discussed crosswalks, the storm drain art project again. This was after presenting to the first Friday art walk, sorry about that. And then moving on to new business, we elected a vice chair, Jason Niemer. We did not elect a secretary though. nobody really seemed to want to take that on. They wanted to kick around the idea of passing it from person to person. That's kind of where that one ended up. Another thing we discussed was the Horton Park Community Champions meeting we had a little while back. Linda gave a great breakdown of what happened there. We revisited the cost for the kiosks at Banner Park, trying to find a good way to refigure how to get that kiosk in at Banner while still trying to keep somewhat true to the signage and wayfinding plan. We also reviewed the maintenance plan and the final as-built drawings for Banner Park that was submitted by Mandy Moats. They were some great plans. We discussed criteria for park fees being waived, and we discussed possibilities for skate park discussion and expansion. So that's a quick breakdown. I know we're short on time. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Rick. Anyone have questions of Rick about Parks and Community Services? All right, 11.3, that's Public Safety Committee. Councilor Coker, is there anything to report?
James, do you want to go ahead and discuss this one for me since I was in and out of that meeting because of service issues?
Sure. So we met a couple days ago. Elected Karen Thompson as the chair. I can't remember who's vice chair. Maybe Trudy Hammond, I can't remember. I'm secretary. And we kind of made a list of ideas, topics that the committee wants to address. It's a pretty extensive list. And we also discussed ideas of getting more folks involved since we're still minus a few minutes.
It's good to have you back in quorum again. Good. Thanks, Chris. 11.4 Audit Committee, Councilor Kenyon.
Yes, audit committee actually met and worked on the plan of action letter that came to council tonight as our recommendation, which passed. And then we also talked about a new auditor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I actually did not come prepared with my thing, so I was making notes as the meeting was going on. But I think that concludes for the audit committee.
Okay. 1.5 is Charter Review Subcommittee. You're back on the stage.
Okay, that one, we, the admin committee had created a document to submit to the Charter Review Committee, which they reviewed and approved. And then we continued our regular monthly work on reviewing the charter and making notes.
Budget Committee, Joint Meeting, Library Board.
Sorry.
I don't understand why. That's on that one. RTMP, TRT, was there a meeting, Councilor Kenyon?
Not yet. I'm actually, I had hoped to have it done by tomorrow, and I still hope that's true, to send out emails to the entire committee and get an organized date and time to have a monthly meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Rick, do you have anything for Planning Commission?
No, we only had 3 commissioners available and no action items for last month. And for those reasons, we had no meeting in February.
Okay. I don't think they met today, Jim.
No.
Okay. Special Fire District Subcommittee. Councilor Booker.
We have not met. There is nothing new to report.
Okay. Admin Committee, Councilor Kenyon.
The admin committee worked on and created a document to submit to the Charter Review Committee. Maybe I should combine those two in one report, but well, for this month they were similar, but that's it.
WAC Subcommittee, they meet, Councilor.
No, we have not met yet.
The WAC Funding Committee did meet, and we discussed the Odo grant application. We had a brief by the feasibility architect, Kurt Wilson. about possible project budget. Discussed other grants that we could pursue, in particular the congressionally directed funding grant, which we're doing tomorrow. Other than that, it's no discussion. Rain bi-monthly report 11.15 was a written report only, which is included in your packet. You can answer any questions on that, but hopefully everybody saw it in their packet.
I did see that, but I had a quick question on the WAC funding committee. Has the feasibility study been completed?
He'll be with the project probably through the RFP process and through because he helped James with the RFP, is that not correct? So what he'll do is carry it through until the RFP is decided for the architect section to do the work. And as long as we have budget for him to work, we'll stay with it.
Just one quick question. Is he the one that, if my understanding is correct, that originally took part in the WAC?
He done some work in the WAC. I think he renovated the health spaces, I think, somewhere along. He did one of these, but yeah, it was, when he walked in and I gave him a tour, he was very familiar.
That's what I
He found his
thought.
own plans.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, some questions on rain. So I don't think we have enough time to do the two resolutions, James. All right.
That's fine with me.
Okay. We'll push them to the next meeting. We have,
Well, I don't know if we might discuss the admin committee one just because right now admin committee can no longer meet. As our current resolution reads, which requires everyone to be citizens, residents. One of our committee members recently moved outside of city limits. So therefore, admin committee cannot be. Admin committee kind of work because it's helping with resolution.
so is the resolution solve that problem?
Yes, well, version 2 does. Version 2 allows up to 2 members to reside within zip code for Westford or Oak Ridge, but they don't have to be within city limits.
Does the council want to take that up? Stay an extra 15 minutes.
Fine with me.
Councilor Coker, is that going to be okay for you?
We lose her again?
I think we did, but we have still a quorum, so we can do this.
Yeah, she's on the bottom, but
Okay. In any case, so James, you want to introduce this and we'll get it done?
Sure. All right, so Amy Kelly, one of our committee members, moved outside city, and she does still want to be on the committee if possible. So I have edited I made 2 versions of a new resolution for the committee. Version 1 keeps it like it is, and all committee members must reside within Oak Ridge city limits. Version 2, up to 2 committee members can reside outside city limits, but must still live within 97463 or 97492 zip codes. They have to be nearby. In both versions, I also removed the requirement in section 1 that requires the city recorder to serve on the committee. I didn't even know that the city recorder was supposed to be on that committee until I was reading it, and I didn't see any real reason why they needed to be on there. As a city staff member, we can always bring them in if we need their advice on something, but they don't need to be required to be on the committee, in my opinion.
Is there a motion?
I actually have a question for James first. Version 1 is all members must be a citizen of Oak Ridge city limits, correct?
Right.
So version 2 is up to 2 I thought somewhere it said either 1 or 2 positions.
It's in version 2, it's in section 1. 4 must reside within Oak Ridge city limits. Up to 2 may reside outside city limits, but must live within the 97463 or 97492 zip codes.
I would move that we allow for 1 position to live outside of city limits. Is that an option on this?
You can direct me to do that.
What version would that be?
How much of a burden?
It'd be
What
version
version?
2.
That would be version 3, which doesn't exist at this time, but obviously it's quick and easy to fix.
Okay.
Or version 2 with an edit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I move to approve and adopt version 2 of the revised administration advisory committee resolution 04-2023, which will repeal and replace resolution 28-20.
Your second,
I'll second.
made by Councilor Tarman, seconded by Councilor Hooker. Any discussion? Councilor Kenyon?
I would ask for a friendly amendment to change the wording to up to 1 member.
You'd have to just make the motion for an amendment. You have to deal with the amendment first, so you have to participate the motion for amendment to this motion. We have to vote on an amendment. Whether we can do that or not, and then we go back to the original motion. You need to articulate that you want to make an
Okay.
amendment to.
I would like to make an amendment to the motion,
Councilor Tarman's.
to Councilor Tarman's motion. Adding to direct the city administrator to change the document to reflect only 1 member living outside of Oak Ridge city limits.
Wait here a second.
I second that.
Okay, amendment motion made by Councilor Kenyon, seconded by Councilor Follett. Motion was to amend Councilor Tarman's motion to approve and adopt version 2 of the revised Administrative Advisory Committee Resolution 04-2023, which will repeal and replace Resolution 2020. And that was also to include changing the outside city limits membership to 1 only. Cover it? All right, any discussion on the amendments? I don't know why we're being so frugal with people that live in the Oak Ridge area. There's a lot of people that use the services here. There's a lot of people that use City Hall here that live outside city limits. So I have no idea why we're doing this, but if there's no other discussion, we'll have a vote.
I was just gonna mention why I picked 2 is because in some of the other committees, it's been 2. So I just kept it kind of uniform.
Councilor Kenyon.
Yeah, my actual reasoning is because the administration committee works on setting governance for the city of Oak Ridge, which Oak Ridge citizens pay taxes for, and that's what we're governing, is all the money that comes in from taxes. I actually originally was interested in bringing this motion forward, but have since changed my mind. I don't feel like the admin committee should have anyone on it from outside city limits. But I'm willing to bend if that's the way the council wants to go. And my reason specifically for only 1 is because we all have talked about multiple times, and I assume it's going to come to council very soon, to reduce the quantity of members on every committee down to, maybe 5 or something. So if we were to allow 2 people to be from outside city limits, then it's nearly half the committee once we reduce the committees. So that seems unnecessary to me.
Councilor Tarver.
When we can be doing all the resolutions and parties to
Well,
address them.
so that was actually part of another thing I was gonna bring up was that at last meeting, we agreed to send all of this to admin, have all committees reviewed and bring all this stuff back all at once. But admins can't meet until we either get a new member or we change this resolution. So there we are.
Any other discussion? Councilor Holland?
I agree with Councilor Kenyon. I think that there are people who live inside the city, you pay taxes inside the city, and our folks do not get to say how your city is governed. It's probably my biggest reason, although I do feel that I'm personally successful.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, what we'll do is have a vote on the amendment to change motion that made by Councilor Tarver. James, can you call for a vote on the amendment?
All right, vote on the amendment. Counselor Tarman,
Nay.
Counselor Hooker,
Okay.
Mayor Cutchin,
Nay.
Counselor Holland,
I
Counselor Kenyon,
Aye.
Counselor Coker, Counselor Coker,
Yep,
Councilor Coker, can you hear us?
she's muted.
It's either going to be a 3-3 or a 3-2, right?
4-2.
4-2?
Well, if she voted, if Counselor Coker votes no, it would be 4-2. If she votes yes, it would be 3-3.
So either way, the motion is probably going to fail. You agree?
Well, yes, it is currently 3-2.
So let's just say that Councilor Coker could not be reached. And the amendment motion fails. So now we go back to the original motion, which was to approve and adopt version 2 of the revised administrative advisory committee resolution, move forward 2023, which will replace resolution 2020. James, can you call for a vote, or is there discussion on this? I'm sorry, is there any discussion on this motion that was already made and discussed? If not, James, can you call for a vote on the motion?
Yes. Mayor Cutchin,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Holland,
Nay.
Counselor Kenyon,
Nay.
Counselor Tarman,
Aye.
Counselor Coker, Counselor Coker,
She's froze.
Nothing heard, so what's the score?
Same.
2 ayes, 3 nays.
Okay, motion fails. Still have enough time for public comment.
No, it was 3 ayes.
Was it?
Did I get there?
Yes, thank you.
But still, it doesn't pass before.
You need 4, so motion still fails.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the correction on the numbers.
Thank you.
All right, we have time for public comment. Is there any public comment on the Zoom platform? Speak up or raise your hand. You heard? Room, any public comment in the room? Ms. Kingsbury?
I'd like to thank you all for the realtor of choice. You're doing a very, very nice job. There are 3 new brokers in the office. And all 3 working
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome aboard. All right, motion to adjourn.
Move to get out of here. Thank you.